Newstalk ZB.
23 away from 8. We're going to have the commentary box with us after 8 o'clock. Right now, though, we have Deputy Prime Minister David Seymour in for Christopher Luxon with us. Morning, David.
Good morning.
Where's Chris?
Oh, he's taken a pretty well-earned break. I can't reveal his exact location, but he is having some time with Amanda, and the guy works basically 50 out of 52 weeks a year, so I think he deserves it.
Yeah, first holiday of the year, as far as I can tell, eh?
Look, I don't track him that religiously, but I think you're probably right.
Is it coincidental that he's timed it with Mike? First holiday of Mike's year?
Well, we don't know where Mike is either, so...
Who knows? There could be something going on here. Now, what do you think of these minimum sentences? Are you into this?
Look, I think it's really important that the judges actually set the law and they do so, or they interpret the law, and they do so independently. I don't want to live in a society where some strong man starts meting out the punishments. It took hundreds of years for us to get away from that, and I don't particularly want to go back to it. That said, I think it is important that independent judiciary is constantly getting feedback from the rest of the community and that their sentencing reflects community norms. Now, I know there'll be people listening who say, yeah, well, right, I just read about a sentence that doesn't reflect my idea of a community norm. And one way that you can fix that is for Parliament to start giving them a bit of feedback of our own through the democratic process. We say, look, actually, you can't discount more than 40%. You can't give more than 25% for a guilty plea. You can't keep giving discounts for remorse because they were sorry last time they did it again.
But you're tying their hands, right? You are tying their hands in your own way.
We're leaving the ultimate decision up to them, but we're giving some guidelines on behalf of the community, and that's about where you want to be. You want the judiciary to be reflecting community norms and expectations, but giving them the discretion to work out the individual case. Because
do you think that they actually respond to what? I mean, they must be aware that people are pretty, upset about what's going on. At least some people are pretty upset about it. Do you think they're responding to it?
Yeah, look, I just make the observation that, I don't want to be seen at all as criticising the judiciary, but on average, if you become a judge, you're someone who's had a very successful law career. Chances are you live in quite a nice suburb, and chances are you're actually a very intelligent person who's very good at thinking and reasoning and, they did this because they had a bad time. If you're someone who has just been bashed up or had your kid or your partner attacked or, had your car nicked and you don't have any money and you need to get to work, then you're not thinking like that. You're thinking, I want that person dealt to and I want this crime to stop. And I think one of the reasons that we've put in place 3 strikes, one of the reasons we've put in place these limits on sentence discounts is that the Parliament is basically giving feedback from people like that to the judiciary that we need you to make sure you reflect what the community wants. And so I think we've got just the right balance between a free and independent judiciary with a bit of feedback on the side.
Hey, how's the shoplifting fine going to work? Can you actually find somebody on the spot without determining their guilt?
Yeah, it's an infringement notice offence. So, for example, you get stung for speeding, then you can choose to go to court and defend yourself. No one can be punished without a court hearing and a trial before a judge or a jury of your peers. That's all still there, but the default is you just pay the fine. And this will be exactly the same. The default is you just pay the fine. And frankly, most people in this situation will know they're guilty, just like some of us do with speeding. Yeah. And you're just going to pay it. Saves a lot of time. Look at it the other way. If you had to go to court to get a conviction every time someone was done for speeding, it'd be like the Indy 500 out there.
So what's going to happen, though, is you're going to have somebody who gets nicked for shoplifting. They're simply going to say, yes, I did it, cop the fine, because they know they're not going to pay the fine, right? So they just get that process going faster. Is that what we want?
Well, it may be that they are not going to pay the fine, but that has further penalties down the line. So, yep, I get it, and people will say...
What are the penalties down the line?
Well, ultimately, if you don't pay your fines, you can be put in prison. That's the ultimate penalty. And I know that there'll be people who say, look, people don't pay fines, so there's no point. My question is, where do we start? Because right now we've got a society where people work hard, pay their bills, they end up taking stuff out of the trolley because it's so damn expensive at the supermarket, and then they see someone else just walk out scot-free. I believe it's important that we start putting in some penalties and some community norms, that there's actually consequences for this stuff.
I see the Children's Commissioner wants a carve-out for kids so that they don't get this fine. Would you consider that?
Well, I saw that, but frankly, here's the two worlds that a kid can grow up in. There's one where you do something wrong, a relatively small thing, and you get corrected, and then you go on and live a better life. Or there's a New Zealand where children say, look, what would happen if I ...
Yeah.
And a school principal said this to me recently. The answer is often, if I ... nothing happens. Just about anything you fill in the ... nothing happens. So I think actually having more consequences earlier on for younger people is far better than getting away with it. Then all of a sudden you're 18, you commit a real crime and you see a real door slam shut.
Yeah.
That's what we want to avoid. So I'm all for actually more graduated penalties for younger people and a society with some norms where actually if you do the right thing, you're going to be okay. Not if you scrimp and save and try your best and people nick your stuff anyway. It's just demoralising and it's infuriating people.
Hey, would you consider funding or partially funding Wegovy?
I wouldn't. Pharmac might, but I've always been really clear that they're arm's length and it's important that they're independent because otherwise you end up in a situation where you're just having a popularity contest. And I'll just give you one example of why that matters. I had a woman in my office years ago now as a local MP and she said, look, I've got this cancer, head and neck, it's disfigured, I've had to have a lot of my jaw removed. She said, I wish this cancer was in my breast. Because, breast cancer, and good on the Breast Cancer Foundation, and, Brooke Van Velden and I, we put on a pink ribbon breakfast. They've got the profile up, no question. But we don't want to live in a world where something has to be high profile, and dare I say it, sexy, to get attention and get funding. Pharmac has to make the decision. Should they fund Wegovy? That's up to them, but you can see the benefits, right? We're spending a huge amount on dialysis for people with diabetes. We're spending a huge amount on orthopedics for people who are too heavy on their joints.
I mean, this would, if the NHS considered it in the UK, it would bankrupt them if they gave it to everybody with a BMI over 35, and we're looking at a BMI over 30. Yeah,
I understand that, but that's why Pharmac have got to do the maths, and it may be that the maths add up or they don't. That's why that decision's arm's length. I'm just laying out the case, and where we want to go with Pharmac generally is to start, instead of just managing a fixed budget and saying no all the time, saying, well, okay, if the government was to spend more on pharmaceuticals, what could we save elsewhere? Classic example, Trikafta, since that's been funded for people with cystic fibrosis, lung transplants have fallen off a cliff. Now, I don't know what a lung transplant costs, but it's probably the most expensive thing in the health system.
Spend up front so that you don't spend heaps later on, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Listen, this independent costing unit, do you think this idea is dead now?
I do. I don't think it's ever made sense. I mean, speaking just for a moment for the ACT Party, we've put out fully costed alternative budgets. Every year we've been in opposition, never had a problem, so there's no need for this thing. On the other hand, do you want the bureaucracy, who, by the way, gets stuff wrong all the time? Just because you get a job at a government department doesn't mean you're suddenly right about everything. Do you want them to effectively be the gatekeepers to the policies in the election when the whole point of the election is to hold them accountable in the first place?
But also, why would we pay for stuff that you guys as political parties are paying for yourself? Like, you're bearing the cost of your independent costings. I don't want to pay for it.
I almost want to make a plug for people to donate to political parties, but you're absolutely right. It's not just the 1.2 million that's been floated. Any government department would have to drop tools before an election, stop doing the work for the government that's actually elected, and start arguing about some other potential policy. That's not a good use of resource.
David, how do you rate your chances that you're going to be able to convince Winston to partially privatise the ferries?
It won't be me that will persuade him. It will actually be fiscal reality. Right now we're spending over $9 billion a year on interest payments. That's more than the top 11 taxpayers in New Zealand combined.
Since when has money actually made sense to Winston, right? So who's going to convince him? And can you convince him?
I'll tell you what I've learnt working with Winston is that while we may have different views on a lot of things, when it's time, when the chips are down, he does actually look at reality. And in this case, the question is, do we want to spend $9 billion in interest payments every year? Or do we want to say, look, owning a ferry business, that's debt on the books that we're paying interest on. There's already a private ferry company that's doing very well. Maybe this isn't something the government needs to do.
Give me your chances out of 10.
Out of 10? Let me put it about an 8. Well, I tell you,
something for me to look forward to.
Look, the challenges that we face as a government are tough, and we face them on behalf of all New Zealanders who are facing tough financial times. every business, every household, every farm has to make tough choices, and the government is going to have to make those tough choices as well.
David, thank you very much for coming in. Really
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
David Seymour in for Chris Luxon, the Prime Minister, who's on leave, 13 away from 8.